remarks as well. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would say to our panel, of course, you have no saying at all over what Senator Whitehouse just bored you with. And I appreciate that you all are here to talk about digital assets and how we're going to examine the taxation of digital assets. And I think that during the Biden administration, what we saw was government weaponization against cryptocurrencies with things like Operation Choke Point 2.0. And we had regulators that didn't understand cryptocurrencies, and they were unfavorable to them because they didn't have any control over them. So what I would like to hear from you all is what you think are the most important priorities to include in crypto tax law so that we continue to lead in crypto investments and innovation. If you want to very briefly give me a statement and then submit in writing what that priority would be, that is fine with me. But we'll just start right here and go straight down.
Yeah, so thank you, Senator. My written testimony lays out the three areas that we're most focused on at Coin Center. I'll just briefly touch on one, which is addressing how staking and mining rewards are taxed. We've talked about it today at the hearing a good amount, but I think that recognition of exactly how the technology works and that the fact that this is property that's being created by these stakers and miners is a really important issue to kind of democratizing these networks in the way that they were intended to be.
Okay. Ms. Kramer?
Well, I would think that one of the key priorities has not been really talked about yet, except in the context of source, which is that we want to make the United States a magnet for foreign investment.
Yeah.
We have to be much clearer as to what our rules are so that they can understand whether they're subject to tax or not. And that discourages investment when you don't know.
Yeah. Mr. Langton?
Thank you, Senator. We outlined 10 points that we thought, and I spoke about that in my remarks and also in my written testimony. I think what we're really focused on is just rules of the road itself. So I think we don't have that right now. And that is what Lisa gave us.
Senator Lummis and I are trying to get there with it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that very much. So, there are a variety of different aspects of that sourcing rules, parity with financial services and digital asset lending, asset management, encouraging investment in the U.S., clarifying staking, grantor trust for ETFs. Again, every time we invent something new or do something different, it creates more pressure on the system, and we just do not have rules of the road to do that. So,
well, and the grantor trust are an issue in that. Ms. Nellen?
So far as the concept of a digitally, digital assets posted on exchange, there are various places, mark to market, lending, qualified appraisals, where rules are needed actually in a tax law to make that clear. Quickly coming back to the staking activity here, I think a lot of it does depend on who is actually doing the staking. Is this a small investor? Is it a big company? The question had come up, what if the IRS had just pulled the revenue ruling? I think many taxpayers would still look at, did I receive something? Is it on my records? And they would probably report that, assume they could figure out what the value was, then track that. And they might even want to do that because from that point forward, if it goes up, they're going to have a capital gain as opposed to ordinary income. And also there's some differences in how it's categorized on the staking. Is it creating an asset? Is it instead receiving something that has a bearing on expenses you incurred in that? If you're creating the asset, goes into the basis. If you're in an investment activity and you have the expense, it is not going to be deductible.
Well,
to
and we want those
taxpayer.
here. We don't want them offshore. And so, yes, we need to work toward that. Mr. Samansato, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah.
Okay, wanted to be sure about that. Nashville in Tennessee is really a very friendly crypto state and a friendly crypto city. There's a Bitcoin park that is in Nashville. And what we have seen is that many of our small businesses now will accept a cryptocurrency as payment. The problem we're running into is should that cup of coffee be a taxable event? And the de minimis issue. So I'd like for you to speak for just a moment. My time has expired now, but speak for a moment about de minimis.
No, I can be real
the
brief. I
impact.
think it's an important area to bring, as you mentioned, the individual users who you want to engage with this technology into a situation where it's not super complex. One of the topics that's come up is the fact that you would still need to track, your spending in order to figure out if you're able to get that de minimis exemption. But I think as you talk about like paying $5 for a cup of coffee or paying a fraction of a cent for a transaction fee, those aren't something that would need to, a deep analysis of whether you fall under the $200 exemption. And so I think that exemption really does lead to the benefit of these individual users in the network.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.